Hello everyone. So I hope you people are fine and safe. So I'm back with the next video for the chapter When People Rebel, 1857 and up. So the portion which we have discussed yet is the mutiny becomes a popular rebellion. In that, basically, we discussed that how the rebellion somehow it started from the northern part of India, especially from Meerut. It started in May 1857. So how it like the rebellion spread to Delhi means what were the circumstances, what led the sepoys to move from Meerut to Delhi, for what purpose they moved. So about all those things we shall discuss in the part from Meerut to Delhi, as you can see on the screen. So on 29th March 1857, a young soldier Mangal Pandey was hanged to death for attacking his officers in Barakpur. Regiment at Meerut refused to do the army drill. 9th May 1857, 18 sepoys were dismissed from service and sentenced to 10 years of jail. So simply the thing was, like the scenario that happened at that time, that on 29th March 1857, a young soldier Mangal Pandey, we are very much familiar with the name Mangal Pandey. There is a movie also based on him. You can watch that movie. So Mangal Pandey was hanged to death for attacking his officer in Barakpur. Barakpur is his officer and he killed his officer in Barakpur. And this, just because of this, he was hanged to death. As he was hanged to death, so many of the sepoys who were in Meerut, I mean the regiments of the Meerut sepoys, they went against as he was hanged to death. So they were thinking that like now if Mangal Pandey the punishment was given to Mangal Pandey, so someday they can also be given the same punishment. So that's what happened. That some sepoys of the regiment at Meerut, they refused to do the army drill using the new cartridges, which were suspected of being coated with the fat of cows and the pigs. So what happened, that it was a kind of rumor that happened, and trigger factor, you can say, the death of the Mangal Pandey, it was a trigger factor for the sepoys to attack or to go for the massive revolt. So what happened, that like the sepoys, many of the sepoys in the regiment at Meerut, they refused to do the army drill using the new cartridges, because it was the rumor which spread at that time that the new cartridges, it was suspected it was suspected of being coated with the fat of the pigs and the cows. So somehow it harassed the sentiments of the Hindu people, Hindu sepoys, as well as the Muslim sepoys. So that's why they refused. And as they refused, so just because of the disobeying their officers, on 9th May 1857, 18 sepoys were dismissed from the service and they were sentenced to 10 years of jail. So after that, what happened? More sepoys they went against that. How such things can happen? So just because of that, on 10th May, the soldiers marched to jail in Meerut and released the imprisoned sepoys. They attacked and killed British officers. They captured guns and ammunition and set fire to the buildings and properties of the British and declared war on Firangi. So what happened that on 10th May, the regiment, the sepoys of the soldiers from Meerut, they moved to jail and they attacked there, and they just like released the imprisoned sepoys who basically their soldiers, their friends, released the imprisoned sepoys who were like especially that 85 sepoys. And then after that, what happened? They captured the guns and the ammunitions, means gola barud, whatever was there, guns in ammunitions, mainly in Hindi, it is known as gola barud. So whatever the weapons and things were with the Britishers, everything was seized by uh, the Indian sepoys, and they declared the war on Firangis. The soldiers were determined to bring an end to the rule in the country. But who would rule? Land and state. Here the question was, firstly, they wanted the end of the British or the East India Company. But here the most important question was that who would rule after that. So the only one name came, and that was the Bahadur Shah Zafar. So the sepoys, to meet Bahadur Shah Zafar, the sepoys on 10th May they reached Delhi early morning. So as the news uh, spread of the arrival of the sepoys, the regiment stationed in Delhi also rose up in rebellion. So also when the sepoys they reached Delhi, and so massive war was to just to meet the Bahadur Shah Zafar. So the arms and the ammunitions were again seized from the British officers by the Indian sepoys, and many of the buildings they were set on fire. So just the demand was to meet the Bahadur Shah Zafar as he lived in the Red Fort. The emperor was not quite willing to change the mighty British power, but the soldiers persisted. Means, as I told you, soldiers, the only one name came, that was Bahadur Shah Zafar. Soldiers wanted Bahadur Shah Zafar to be as their leader. So here what happened, that Bahadur Shah Zafar, he was quite hesitating because he knew that his power is nothing in front of the Britishers. But somehow, as the sepoys persisted him, so he got convinced. They forced their way into palace and proclaimed Bahadur Shah Zafar as their leader. The aging emperor had to accept this demand. He wrote letter to all the chiefs and rulers of the country to come forward and organize a confederacy of Indian states to fight the British. This single step taken by Bahadur Shah Zafar has great implications. So what was that? That as lastly Bahadur Shah Zafar, he agreed that okay fine, I will be the leader. So for that, the first step which he took was he wrote letter to all the rulers of the country to come forward, means to unite and then to work in unity. So this action, or this initiative which was taken by Bahadur Shah Zafar, this had great implications. The Mughal dynasty had ruled over a very large part of the country. Most smaller rulers and chieftains control the different territories on behalf of the Mughal rulers. Threatened by the expansion of the British rule, many of them felt that if the Mughal emperor could rule again, they too would be able to rule their own territories once more under Mughal authority. So, as this action was taken by Bahadur Shah Zafar, as I told you, so many rulers in the different parts of our country, they got a kind of motivation that if Bahadur Shah Zafar he can come back to the same power, then we can also go for our territory, our particular territory under the authority of the Mughal dynasty, under the Mughal authority. So the British had not expected this to happen. They thought the disturbance caused by the issues of the cartridges would die down. But Bahadur Shah Zafar's decision to bless the rebellion changed the entire situation dramatically. Often, when people see an alternative possibility, they feel inspired and enthusiastic. It gives them the courage, hope, and confidence to act. Simply, the thing was that whatever happened, just because of the new cartridges, the thing that happened just because of that, so it was not expected that it will die down soon. Means it will end soon. But somehow, with the motivation, with the kind of the support of sepoys, the Bahadur Shah Zafar, he also got a kind of motivation, and the actions which were taken by the Bahadur Shah Zafar, it somehow helped the sepoys and the other rulers uh, to feel inspired and enthusiastic and motivated again, and it gave them a kind of courage, hope, and confidence to act accordingly. So it was all the scene, it was all the scenario that happened from Meerut to Delhi. Means, what was the scenario? What was the thing that, what kind of circumstances occurred during the journey during the journey from Meerut to Delhi? So here, this is what we have discussed, and next moving towards the rebellion spread. So slowly and gradually, what happened from here? Rebellion spread out, and let's see, this is what we have discussed. The leaders, as I told you about this, we have already discussed that the soldiers convinced Bahadur Shah Zafar as the leader, and Bahadur Shah Zafar he wrote letter to all his chiefs and the rulers of the country, and this is what we have already discussed. Okay, so now moving towards the rebellion spread. Here you can see So lastly, what happened? The rebellion spread. Abhi tak we were discussing about how it happened, how it started from the northern part of our country, northern part of India, especially from Meerut in May 1857. How it started, and slowly and gradually how it reached Delhi. So we have studied the journey of Meerut to Delhi. Ka journey we have studied. So now we'll see more about it. That how yes. The regiment muted at nodal points like Delhi, Kanpur, and Lucknow. People of the towns and the villages also rose up in the rebellion and railed around local leaders. Zamindars and chiefs were prepared to establish their authority and fight the British. British were defeated in battles. So what happened here? That after the British were routed from Delhi, like as they were Britishers, they were defeated in Delhi. There was no uprising for almost a week. Means they were nodal points. What does it mean? Means the important centers for the revolt of 1857. So the important centers which the important centers which were active for the revolt of 1857, those were basically the Delhi, Kanpur, Lucknow, Meerut. Then you have the Jhansi. These were the important, or you can say the nodal centers or the nodal points for the revolt of 1857. So after that, what happened? After then, the people of the towns and villages also rose up in the rebellion and railed around the local leaders. Zamindars and the chiefs who were prepared to establish their authority and fight the British. Nana Sahib, the adopted son of the late Peshwa Wajirao, who lived near Kanpur, gathered armed forces and expelled the British garrison from the city. He proclaimed himself Peshwa. He declared that he was a governor under the British Bahadur Shah, under the Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. So what happened? That Nana Sahib, as I told you, people from the important centers, important centers were there for the revolt of 1857. So many of the leaders from different states, from their uh, place, they rose up. And especially here, if I'll talk about the Nana Sahib, as we know that during the policy of the doctrine of lapse, as he wanted the pension of his father, but it was not at all acceptable because the policy which was introduced by the British, the doctrine of lapse, it was not at all relatable to that. So here what happened after gaining some motivation and after gaining some encouragement and confidence. So Nana Sahib, what he did, he was, as we know, he was adopted son of Peshwa Wajirao too. So he lived near Kanpur. What he did, he gathered armed forces and expelled the British garrison from the city. He himself proclaimed as Peshwa. He himself announced that he is the Peshwa now, and he declared that he was a governor under the Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar. Next, if we'll talk about the another important center for the revolt of 1857, that was the Lucknow. So in Lucknow, Burgess Qadar, the son of the deposed Nawab Wazid Ali Shah, was proclaimed the new Nawab. He too acknowledged the suzerainty of the Bahadur Shah Zafar. His mother Begum Hajat Mahal took an active part in organizing the uprising against the British. So what happened that after, as I told you, that if the policies which were introduced by the British government, the East India Company basically, so according to many of the policies, territories were taken by the British government. So here what happened in Lucknow also, after the death of Wazid Ali Shah, Nawab Wazid Ali Shah, his son Burgess Qadar, he was announced as the Nawab of the Lucknow. Next time we talk about the Jhansi. So in Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi joined the rebel sepoys and fought the British along with the Tatya Tope, the general of the Nana Sahib. The British were greatly, the Britishers, they were now completely down. So as that time, what happened on 6th August 1857, the lieutenant, the Colonel Tetler, he wrote a telegram to the to his officer, to his leader, that our men are caught by the numbers opposed to them and endless fighting. Every village is held against us. The zamindars have risen to oppose us. Means what he wrote basically, like he expressed his sorrow that we can die down now. Like we have no, the Indian sepoys, they have killed our people, they have killed our armed forces and all. So basically, he was expressing his sorrow, and he was writing the situation that happened at that time. And many new leaders also came up. For example, Ahmadullah Shah, a Maulvi from Faizabad, prophesied that the rule of the British would come to an end soon. He caught the imagination of the people and raised a huge force of the supporters. He came to Lucknow to fight the British. Abhi, what happened here? That he was a Maulvi, Ahmadullah Shah. So he was from Faizabad. So he did a kind of, he told about the future. He told the Indian people about the future. You can say the Bhavishwani kind of thing. He said that you people are doing very well. Now it has, like Britishers, the way you people are doing, it is the end of the Britishers. We will just put them out from the country. So somehow it motivated or it encouraged the Indian sepoys and the people. Next, if I'll talk about the another one, we have the Waqt Khan. Waqt Khan, a soldier from Bareilly, he took charge of a large force of fighters who came to Delhi. He became a key military leader of the rebellion. And also, if I'll talk about the Bihar, an old Jamindar, Kuvarsi joined the rebel sepoys and battled with the British for many months. So this was all about how the rebellion spread in the different parts of the country, in the important centers being the Delhi, Kanpur, Lucknow, Meerut, Jhansi. These were the important centers. And here you can see it is clearly written that important centers and leaders of the revolt: Barakpur, Mangla Pandey, Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai, and Tatya Tope. The Lucknow, we have Begum Hazrat Mahal, Kanpur, Nana Sahib Bareilly, Khan Bahadur Khan, then Bihar, Kuvarsi, and Delhi again, Bahadur Shah Zafar. Next, here you can see in this map, it I think it must be very much clear. You can see important centers for the revolt of 1857. So here you can see, I'll just zoom out this map. I'll Yes, here you can see. Yes, the important centers here you can see Agra, Kanpur, then you have Bareilly, then here Jhansi as well you can see. So these were the important centers. Delhi you can see here. So important centers, many times in the examination it is asked that mark and label the important centers for the revolt of 1857. So these are the nodal points and these are the nodal centers for the revolt of the 1857. But one thing that ponder upon, you should ponder upon here is that the rebellion and this revolt of 1857 centers were mainly from the northern Indian states. Means northern Indian states were the centers for the revolt of 1857. You can see that in the southern Indian states there is nothing. Means it was a kind of drawback for the Indian people or the Indian sepoys. Means first of all, somehow what happened that there was lacking coordination and there was a lacking communication. Understood? So understand lacking just because of the lack in understanding, and only India is not only all about the northern Indian states. No, what about the southern part of the India? So the southern part of the India was not at all active in the revolt of 1857. So it was also a kind of drawback, which gave a kind of space for the Britishers to fight, to fight back. And in the next class, we shall discuss about that only. That the Britishers or the company fights back. Means company was so strong and powerful. The company तो quiet नहीं रहेगी ना, that will not be quiet. So what after all those things now company क्या करती है? Company fights back. So about that we shall discuss in the next class. So till then stay safe and happy. Have a good day.